Underway, and yeah, thank you. And the recording is also being done, so anyone who won't be able to join can capture it. But before we begin, I think I would really just like to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of an enigma. As Kenyans, we all know today that we lost Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, and we all acknowledge his contribution to democracy, to leadership, and the mark that he's left in our society. So I just want to take this moment, even before we start, to extend our deepest condolences to his family, his friends, the entire country, as we mourn this loss, and may his soul rest in peace. So just acknowledging that as we kick off. I'm sure many people are occupied with that, but we thought because we had set the date and we've been trying to find a date with Flora, that we should go ahead and proceed with this. And we can always have the recording for those who are not able to join. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for your time, for the CareerSight community. For those who've not joined before, it's normally made up of people who are passionate about mentorship, about career development, all the way from people in entry level, mid-level, CEOs, anyone who's passionate about mentorship. We do this webinar regularly. I've been traveling a lot, so I'm actually currently taking this from Lagos. So we try and do it a minimum of every 2 months. And this year we've had very, very great speakers. And today is also an interesting conversation. So just before we start, it's really, really my absolute pleasure to welcome all of you to this conversation, which I think promises to be very inspiring. It's going to really challenge us and energize us in equal measure. I'm very, very honored to have my friend, Flora Mutahi, who is a visionary business leader. She's a serial entrepreneur, and we'll be hearing more about that. And she's one of the country's most respected voices in industry and policy. She's the founder and CEO of Melvins International, which is the company behind Melvins Tea. And I hope everyone has their cup of tea. Please, I'm giving everyone a minute. Please go get some Melvins Tea.
Look at her.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you. And Melvins Tea was Kenya's first flavored tea brand. So we'll hear more about that. And the moves that Flora made really transformed the local tea market and expanded the range and a lot of things. So you can imagine she's the first person to make a flavored tea brand. So when you drink those brands, just know she's the pioneer of that. But beyond that, her leadership extends beyond her business. She's broken a lot of barriers in boardrooms, industry associations. She was the first female chairperson of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. When I was CEO, I was privileged to work closely with her. She was also the first female chairperson of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. And she continues to shape national agenda on competitiveness, on industrial growth, and inclusive economic transformation. When she was at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, she set up the Women in Manufacturing. We did it together, and she continues to be very passionate about inclusive business. She also sat on the UN Global Compact Global Board, which I think is a big achievement. Yeah, so I don't want to say more so that I don't ruin what she'll say about herself, but I think her story is really one of bold vision and courage. And today we really look forward to hearing from you, Flora, and welcome to CareerSight.
Asante sana, Phyllis. Just for the record, the easiest way to remember me is just call me the tea girl. Yeah, I'm just the tea girl. As simple as that.
Just that, huh?
Just the tea girl.
An
Can
amazing
wrap
tea girl.
all that up into the tea girl.
No, that's amazing. We'll do exactly that. But yeah, just to kick us off and to start the conversation, you have built Melvins from the ground up. And I think, as I've said, it's been an amazing journey. But maybe just to take us back to where this started, what personal conviction or turning point led you to believe that you could chart your own path instead of following an existing one? So maybe just take us back to how you grew up and how you ended up starting Melvin's Tea.
I grew up in a typical middle-class family with a lot of, well, just doing what we are supposed to be doing. And
Mm-hmm.
then from straight out of college, the career master always used to ask me, "What's your career? What are you going to do?" and etc. And I had no answer. And it got to a stage where he told me, "I'm very concerned about you. By tomorrow, you have to have an answer." So my father said, "Listen, you're good in accounting. Tell him you're going to follow accounting." And I did that, and I started believing the story. So when I finished, I did my
Mm-hmm.
degree. I came back home and I started registering. I registered for CPAs. I started doing my CPAs, but very borderline. I had no passion. I actually got a job in an audit firm. It was actually my mom's friend. And, anything, if you called me for even a date, I've gone. I really had no passion for what I was doing, but I couldn't crystallize. There was no language. I didn't have the language to even say what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Until one time, James McPhee cornered me and he asked me, McPhee of Strathmore,
Yes.
he said, "Who's paying your fees?" And I was like, wow. So I didn't answer him. And then eventually he just said, "I've watched you and you're very mediocre and you're going to develop a habit of mediocrity. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, please get out and find out what you want to do." And I
Mm-hmm.
tried to tell him, African homes, the parents, women are supposed to get a career, get married, get a dog and everything. And he told me, "No, that's up to you." And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take a lot of convincing. I came home and I resigned. And then of course, the parents were there. "What are you going to do? We are disappointed. This is not our plan." My father was a little bit worried that, my career will not work if I don't get unemployment.
Yeah.
So I said, "But you guys," both my parents were serial entrepreneurs. So I said, "But you guys are entrepreneurs." But there was no such word. I was saying, "You people do business." So they said,
Yeah.
"Okay, what do you want to do?" And nobody had ever asked me that question. So I took time to sort of come up. And then one day I saw free flowing salt. We were having lunch and it was so bad. And I said, "Why don't we have free flowing salt on the table?" It was just salt, dry, wet, with purple. It was even on a plate.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "You're the one who's looking for an idea. Why don't you do that?" And that was it. We don't live far from Kabete campus. So I drove out to Kabete campus. I learned how to do it. I met a professor. He showed me how to manufacture within 3 weeks. I had a product. He showed me where to get engineering, what machinery I need. But then came the crunch. I need
Yeah.
the finances. So I came back home and I asked for funding, and they're looking at me like, "What part of English don't you understand? This is your career. We gave you what we knew. So if this is yours, it's up to you."
Yeah.
So it was really shocking because we came from a very equally balanced home. What my brothers did, I did. So I couldn't understand. They had just supported my brother in business, but not me. So eventually, anyway, I went out and found a loan with IFC. It was a collateral-backed loan. And
Mm-hmm.
I found the loan and I came back and I said, "Okay, listen, you don't have to give me all the money. Give me 50% and they'll give me 50."
Mm-hmm.
Again, no, flat no. So anyway, eventually, long story short, my mother, thanks to mothers, turned around and sort of supported me.
Yeah.
And so I borrowed a little, it wasn't enough. I bought a bit of machinery. Then I had to keep dividing this money out. So
Yeah.
dividing to try and make it work. And eventually, I mean, I used to bounce checks like there was no tomorrow, but there was no fee. It was just 300 bob. I didn't care because I needed to
Mm-hmm.
move. But within 3 weeks, I realized I had a problem because
Yeah.
salt is, I think a ton of salt was $100.
Mm-hmm.
So needed a new opportunity. So quickly I said, "I need something." And then somebody told me, "Oh, do you know there's a government monopoly that has been lifted?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending money to my mom who's buying tea at this price and selling at this price." And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, voila. So within a week, I was in the
Mm-hmm.
tea industry. I met everybody. I got signed up and I started trying to develop a product. So that is really the basis of where I started. So when I put the two in the when I was going to register, these gentlemen really blasted me and they said, "You're assuming this industry. Tea is like wine, huh? You have a tea
Yeah.
taster." And I said, "Don't worry, I'll sort it out."
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, long story short is I got somebody to be doing the blends for me as I was learning.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided, why don't I do a flavored tea? And I was doing it like security because
Yeah.
I love putting ginger in my tea. So I said, why don't I put ginger in my tea? So I come out with two in case one doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the one that picked up was the ginger tea. So
And
from
that's
there,
the
I put it
first
in.
ginger tea in the market.
Yeah, so we had the first free flowing salt, then we had the first ginger tea. And then from there, it was just challenges that made me then come up because then I started looking for marketing support. They say, "How many flavors do you have?" "One." "No, no, no, you're
Mhm.
not serious." So I go out and make another one.
Yeah.
So those are really, it was really just a bee in my bonnet that I really wanted to be a creator. I wanted to have the freedom. I wanted to innovate. I love innovation.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm still the current lead in innovation in the office. So I'll explain. We have many others now. We have instant tea, we have tea vending
Yeah.
machines.
Mm.
So that's just who I am.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know a lot of professionals, or even many of us, when we finish uni, you want to start your own thing. How did you overcome your self-doubt and just know that this is the path you wanted to take?
Um, I think because I had no passion in anything else. I mean, I tried the job route for 9 months and I had to
Mm-hmm.
fire myself. I mean, I was chaotic.
Yeah.
Literally, if somebody gave me a plan, I would go and then give my boss a story. And I was good at storytelling, so she would believe my story. So for me, it was just let me put myself out there and see what happens. It was a very difficult beginning. I mean, my first 3 years, you don't even earn any income to pay yourself, but I was living at home. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really hand to mouth and really pushing yourself and thinking and learning. I mean, I didn't even know how to market properly. So I went to a friend's house and I said, teach me marketing. And she said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
very busy, so you can only commit to Saturday mornings. And in your
Mm-hmm.
20s, somebody telling you to commit to Saturday mornings is a tough call.
Ooh.
But anyway, so I went and I learned how to do how to do that. So it's just been a journey of really
Yeah.
pushing yourself and just believing that there's got to be a way. And
Yeah.
I've just learned, and I keep telling the youth now, fear is a muscle. You're very scared at the time. Actually, then I was not scared. I was oblivious to what I was
Yeah.
going up against. I was
Yeah.
just determined to get out of my quagmire. And then when I started developing, I was so excited. I was oblivious to all the challenges that have hit me. It's only later
Mm-hmm.
when you start looking back and saying, I had no money, I had no funds, I had no plan, but I was determined to do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
keep saying sometimes it's just the first step that you need to take. If you
Yeah.
really deep down inside find this is your passion, this is your calling.
Oh, that's great. And I think a big part of your journey for me is about self-leadership, because unlike
Mhm.
maybe when you're working for someone, you expect people come to work at this time, do this at this time, there's someone following up on you. So what have you had to inculcate as habits to really build that muscle on self-leadership for you to get to where you are?
Wow. Initially you do like everybody else. So you get up, I mean, I had such a drive. In fact, I
Yeah.
remember the emails had just come out. So when you send somebody an email, they could tell the time. And I sent
Yeah.
an email and my staff once asked me, what are you doing awake at 2? I said, no, I had an idea and I just had to send it out so that tomorrow, So it's true. When you're working for yourself, you have a lot of drive. But
Yeah.
sometimes when the costs, when things start settling down, then you sort of like start playing around a little bit. And I mean, you're youthful, you want to see the world.
Yeah.
Um, but you then realize very quickly, by the way, that if you are not the one leading the ship, nobody else is. You realize very early that you are the captain of the
It's
ship.
yours.
So how you behave, if you come into work, looking untidy, if you come into work, not fully focused, if you're on the phone all the time, these are habits that your people are looking at you for. So very, very
Yeah.
quickly, it shapes you into really being a leader. And there's some things you don't have. I mean, I keep telling a story of I could hire, but I couldn't fire because I kept
Yeah.
feeling really bad about it. And
Mm.
fortunately for me, my mom being my private, well, she was my other partner. She kept dropping
Mhm.
by and I'd say, I need to fire so and so, but I can't do it.
I
And
don't
so she
know.
did it but then I think she did it like for 2 years. I just couldn't. And even when I fired, when they go, I wouldn't come to work for 3 days because I'm so worried that I'll
Yeah.
meet them,
Guilty.
you know? But slowly, the realization that it is you and only you.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of also, not there as many as they are now, but there were a couple of incubators. So very, very
Mm-hmm.
early, I realized that I don't know what I don't know. So
Yeah.
like marketing, I kept saying, how do I create more demand? Because you can imagine it's a
Mm-hmm.
new product. Unless you push it into the market, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
So I kept
that's
asking
true.
myself, how do I I mean, my own mother took 3 years to actually
Mm-hmm.
buy my tea solely. She used to buy my tea in the competition. She took 3 years. So you can imagine
Really?
how hard it was to change people's minds. So I would do these campaigns in the supermarket. I would hire the girls. I personally used to okay, it's good to be young. So I had a pickup and I put a big Melvins truck on a poster on, I mean, wooden box on it, and I got a mic and we used to go around with my staff Fridays,
Yeah.
Saturdays, Sunday. I had no weekends because I
Yeah.
knew I had to create the demand. when I needed to push the product in the market, I would go to these marikiti, and I
Mm-hmm.
would sit down with those women with a thermos of tea this size, and
Yeah.
go around, and I tell them, taste this, taste, because mine, the difference was in flavor. So taste it.
Yeah.
And then when they taste it, they start saying, where can I buy it? Then I walk backwards and I say, in that supermarket. Then I run to that supermarket and say, you need to stock this product. These people are asking for it. Then genuinely they start asking for it. Then I go to the wholesaler to
Wow.
say, this supermarket needs this. It's just, oh my goodness, it's creating demand
Wow.
so that you can build a product. Of course, as you get more funding, then you do more marketing and
Mm.
advertising and things like that. So it's just really being between a rock and a hard place, and then seeing your career friends, pulling up in their fantastic cars. I remember
Well,
a friend of
those
mine
the
pulling up
big
in
titles.
yeah, in her Beamer, telling me, let's go for the wedding, and please, you're not coming with this pickup of yours. Those are moments that hit you. They hit you hard. But
Yeah.
sometimes you're just like, you know what? This is what I chose. And actually, I fired myself out of a job. I have no choice. I have
No
got to make
choice.
this one.
I have to make it
Yeah.
work. Wow, no, that's amazing. And guys, please feel free to drop your questions on the chat. We'll come to them in the next few minutes. But yeah, so I know that's a lot. What do you think has been those habits that you have had to inculcate over the last, it's now how many years? 25 or 30? Many
No, it's
years.
30 in November. It will be 30 years.
30.
30 years in November. 30 years in
Wow.
November.
Wow,
I think
congratulations. So yeah, what's a
the
big habit you've had to
biggest one,
inculcate? Yeah,
the biggest one is leadership.
leadership.
Realizing that I set the tone, I set the
Yeah.
targets, so that has been the biggest one. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
showing up. And then when you're not showing up, choosing a leader that they then can follow, tracking that person. So it's not about abrogating, it's delegating, tracking, making sure that they are, but really making sure that you remain, the tone in your business. So even now that I'm stepping out a lot more, or even the
Mm.
times I was in Calm and Kepsa, just touching base and seeing
Yeah.
that things are going according to your plan, because it's very easy. And I've seen a few, especially young entrepreneurs, it's easy to be bullied. There was a time I was
Mm.
the youngest person in my organization.
Yeah.
Everybody else was older than me. So I didn't know, you have an accountant who's telling you this is the way we're going to do things. And you're thinking, I think I know different. So just
Yeah.
having the courage and the guts to actually say, maybe let's go to the auditor and confirm this, because again, you don't want to be too abrasive. So, and then knowing when to call in people, knowing when to get extra knowledge. I've done, I think, every single incubator training course that was available at that time.
Yeah. And they all added
Yes.
value
Yes, and
in
they all
different
added
ways.
value. But hard work,
Yeah.
there's no secret to hard work. There are
Substitute.
people who feel that starting your business is freedom. It is, to a certain extent. You choose what to do when you're doing it, but about hours and showing up, you have to be the leader. I mean, during COVID, I went to work because I felt sad. I asked them, do we close? They said, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? How are we going to feed our family? So we said, okay.
Yeah.
So everybody, we agreed, I think it was 9 to 4, and I had to show up. So those are the things that you realize that leadership is all
Mm.
about.
It's all about. And you're right that a lot of times we glamorize entrepreneurship as we think it's an easy way or something that we do that's very glamorous, but it comes with a lot of sacrifice. Just listening to you, when you reflect, what are some of the sacrifices you've had to make, and how did you navigate those difficult situations as an entrepreneur?
Um, of course, I told you when my friends pull up in a Beamer, first you're feeling, you know. But on a serious note, about 3 years in,
Yeah.
it still wasn't making sense. It wasn't paying me a
Yeah.
salary. So I started doing other things. I started trading. I would travel, bring stuff, and all those things. What do we call it?
Mm.
We call it side hustles. I started side hustling my own hustle.
Your own side hustle,
Uh,
being side
my own,
hustle.
yeah. I started side hustling my own business because I needed cash. I needed to live, and I wanted
Yeah.
to travel, and I wanted
Yeah.
to live a good life. So there are times I just packed it and said, you know what, let that go on, and I'm going to do this. So I tried to sell the business not once but twice. And
Mm.
both times, my mother, being the partner that she is, she said there's a buyer. Actually, I need to sit down with her and find out, really, was there a buyer?
What they
And she
buy.
says we are negotiating tomorrow. And then I'd ask her, who is the buyer? It's a certain Asian. The next day I had no to show her. I'll tell her, if an Asian wants this business, maybe let's stick it out. Let's see what else we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So those were some hard knocks. Another one was in 5 years into the business, we were
Yeah.
robbed completely.
Wow. Mm.
And it was a tough time. I mean, they came and took everything other than hard equipment.
Wow.
So just having this, you're sitting down and you're thinking. So somebody said, "Aren't you insured?" Yes, I am. I go to the insurance company. We were underinsured because of my lack of knowledge of how
Mm.
insurance works. My agent wasn't keeping up with me. They're supposed to tell you this year you've had. I was a third insured. So they paid me by a third, and it was a fight. And so
Oh
those are
my.
moments where you feel like quitting.
Yeah.
And the final one was one time, like 7, 10 years in, my
Mm-hmm.
whole sales team quit on the same day. They just turned in the towel, all of them. And I'm like, I can't do the sales. I
Yeah.
can generate them, but I can't. And one of their reasons was I was holding the business too tight. They was not giving them freedom to grow, to expand. And so I went home and somebody recommended this book that I recommend to every entrepreneur called E-Myth by Michael Grober. Go and document, get it out of your head. It's not about you.
Yes.
Document everything, tell people what you expect, because I would be there saying, but they're not doing what I expect. But had I communicated it to them? No, I
Mm.
hadn't.
Yeah.
So the book even actually says once you do that, they say take a week off and see who calls you.
What's the name of the
So
book?
those were some
Sorry,
of
I
my
didn't get it.
E-Myth by
E-Myth.
Michael Gruber.
Ah, okay, okay.
E-Myth, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's a very
nice.
common business book. Yeah.
Okay.
So those were really my low moments when I felt I can't do this. But
Wow.
life would have it, I guess I pulled through.
No, that's amazing. And entrepreneurship is a mindset, I think. And when me and you discussed and we came up with what if your next boss is you as a title, it
Yeah,
really just demonstrates that there needs to be that shift in mindset because all of us go to school saying, I'll go and work for some boss. But your
yeah.
next boss could really be you, or you could be in a point in your career where you're looking to get into self-employment. So what shifts do you think we need, or someone who's thinking to become their own boss needs to move from being an employee to actually an employer or their own boss?
Well, I think it's true. You're right. The way we are brought up is very much, and you could see my father. Even if eventually he apologized and he said his worry was that I would be completely unmarketable and nobody.
Mhm.
So, but that came from it. I think it's a cultural thing and it's how
Yeah.
we were brought up. But I think we need to change the way we bring up our children today and tell them
Mhm.
BYOB is not so bad. Being your own boss is not so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
um and it's really learning to if you're a creator, if you're a visionary, if you're a creator, you like to get things done. what i
Mm-hmm.
tell people what I tell people, it's not so hard. Actually, I tell people what you're doing for your boss, you'd be doing for yourself,
For
but maybe
yourself,
on your,
yeah. Mm.
and especially the people who are good at seeing opportunities. You even have them in your own organization, and
Mm.
and they are very good at seeing opportunities. We should do this, but there's a fear.
Mm.
For employed people, I call it power of the paycheck. You get so used to getting the paycheck that you can't imagine not having it. But
Yeah.
for the ones who are still looking for a job and are considering, or maybe the job has taken such a long time, ask yourself, first of all, why should anybody employ you? What is this that you're bringing? And bring that yourself to the market. Improve your skills. If you're interested in digital, go to Microsoft and Google. They have so much free. I mean, today we cannot say there's any lack of knowledge for any
Mm-hmm.
any area you want to actually grow in. And then bring that, and then go to there's a lot of incubators, there's a lot of learning labs. There are places we can go and just learn what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and how to do it. Look for
Yeah.
mentors, look for coaches, people who would help you do it. Because for me, I keep saying it's making that first step. I mean, I had no plan, I had no money, I had no support. And somehow I made it work just by sheer stubbornness. Resilience is one thing, by the way, when you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you really own. You really, really have to be resilient. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to know that when the blow comes, there's a solution. In fact, there's a joke told, and one day I missed entering a
Yeah.
cruise, and And the guy told me, you're not entering this cruise because my visas were wrong. And I was so calm. Do you know that immigration officer called me because we sorted it out and I was catching the cruise in the middle. And he called me later and he said, how come you are so calm? He says, people break down, and I said, I'm Kenyan and I'm resilient.
Number one.
You just have to learn to be so resilient when things happen, you turn them around. But I want to argue, it's the same thing
Yeah,
that happens in your organization.
we do
You
it
can be
every
working on
day.
your project and your
Mm-hmm.
boss comes and turns around and says, actually, no, shift of direction. You've done
Mm-hmm.
that project for a year. And I see people melting and I say, you can do that for yourself. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's really realizing that it's the same thing you do. And for the ones who are on the borderline, they're in organizations and they're thinking of whatever, become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Start choosing to work on projects that you see an opportunity and says, ask your boss, can I actually bring this to life? Because that's what it is. And that once you start building that muscle, you'll be able to take that muscle into your own job. I think another mistake I see people doing is saying, I need a partner. I need a partner. And you go and take a partner
Mm-hmm.
because you lack the confidence.
To do it
You can
alone,
build
yeah.
the confidence by building your knowledge, talking to people. For me, I had no shame picking the phone and asking a lawyer, what is this? What does this mean? And how come I'm in this bind? And
Yeah.
a lot of people would be willing to give you the knowledge that you require at that moment. Of course, later they became, in fact, they are my lawyers now. But at the
Mm.
time, I couldn't even afford them. But I was in a
Yeah.
bind and I needed some professional help. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really about realizing what you're doing for somebody else, you can do for yourself. And for the ones who are looking for jobs and haven't found, I want to ask them a question.
Yeah.
Why should anybody employ you? What are
Mm-hmm.
you bringing to the table? Once you start sorting that out, then you'll improve the knowledge in the area that you want to work
Yeah.
in, or B, once you improve it and still don't get an opportunity, you will be able to step out and start doing it for yourself.
Yeah. No, I really like that. Please keep the questions on the chat. I'm stopping in two minutes. Um, One of the other things I wanted to understand, the issue of purpose and profit, because that pulls people in different directions. Sometimes you could just be chasing the money as you know, and forget the issue of purpose or even ethics and other things. So as Flora, how have you stayed balanced and true to your values as you have built this business?
I guess for me, because I stepped into my purpose pretty early, just
Mm,
by listening to my instincts. A lot of us have instincts that we dull and we start even getting into wrong behaviors because you're dulling an instinct. So for me, I found my purpose pretty early. I love the entrepreneurial journey. I love what I do, and I would do 10 times over. But
mhm.
once you're then there, then you decide, what are my values and what will I stick to? And
Yeah.
once you sort of decide that, then profit doesn't seem to, it doesn't always move you around. And I'll give you an example.
Mhm,
There's a particular year when I was doing my ginger. I mean, we buy a lot of ginger, you can imagine. And the
mhm.
prices had hiked so high. And because of competition, we couldn't really reclaim that money from the consumer. And somebody came out and said, listen, I know this company, they do flavors. You can get artificial flavoring of ginger. And I said, no. My claim to fame has always been, we use 100% natural. If it's chamomile, it's from the farm. If it's ginger, it's milled. If it's, whatever we use as Melvins, and that is our, what would you call it? It's our ethos, and that's how we think and how we whatever. So we forego profits at some periods sometimes because of that. I do know a lot of my competition who use these artificial flavors or natural in nature, identical. There's a lot of stuff going on out
Yeah.
there, but we have decided to remain true. So it's really about your value, and I also say, I mean, your what values you subscribe to, and also
Yeah.
thinking long term.
Mhm.
Today I was actually in Naivas. We were saying goodbye to one of the directors who's stepping down, and I met a guy from Mauritius and says, "Oh, but I have your tea and I love it. It is so distinct." And I told him,
Mhm.
yes, because it's 100% natural. So it's also
Yeah.
looking at it long term. It could look short. There are short-term gains you can get, but it's also
Mm.
looking at it long term.
Okay. No, that's excellent. The last question before we go to the chat. Congratulations on being an author. Flora has just released a book called Brewed to Last, and it's really a powerful reflection on her journey. We
It
actually
is.
did when we're pushing for the webinar, we are giving out some copies of the book. Maybe Rosie will guide if we're giving out any in this conversation. But yeah, please grab the book. But maybe tell us what is the book about? Give us some highlights so that we get excited about buying it.
All right. Basically, what I've done in the book is I've penned down 10 plus 1 pillars of what I feel needs to be in place for you to be able to run a successful business with a firm foundation. So number one, you have to be very clear. What are you doing? What problem are you solving? One of the mistakes I find entrepreneurs, especially today, making is, oh, I can't find a job. Let me go in. Oh yeah, so and so brings things from Dubai or from China. You go and you bring. That is trading. You're not adding any value. You're just trading. Yes, we do need traded items, but is it sustainable? Because when that fad goes, then what next? So, making sure you're solving a problem, and the more complex the problem, of course, the more that you can charge. So those are the kind of principles I've put there. Building a firm foundation, making sure you understand your finances, governance. I've seen a lot of people lose businesses because of governance. Then I was telling them sales and marketing is a system. Building systems, not just ad hoc, posting here, there, everywhere. Build a system and if you can, make it a repeatable system. Leadership, leading self-leading teams. Those are the more or less principles that I've put. So it's purpose, core foundation, building systems, and leadership. Those are the 4 particular principles. So I even had the honor of having my friend Vuzi forward it. He loved the book, and
Yeah,
so it's out in the market. Came out very recently, so
yeah.
we could give you a link you can share.
Okay,
And
that's lovely.
I think
Uh-huh.
you asked me why. What
Mm-hmm.
happened is we're celebrating 20 years in. No, 30 years.
30
And
November.
yeah,
Mm.
by the 28th year, I came to work one day and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah,
So yeah, so what I decided to do is what do I like doing? And I said I love the entrepreneurial journey. People had started coming to me with so many questions. Can I mentor? Can I whatever? And I realized during COVID I had started doing it under Melvin
yeah. I
for women in
remember.
manufacturing. Remember when we were doing
Mm,
it with you?
I do.
So I
Mm.
decided just to turn it into a book. So it's a playbook. It's not a storybook. It's not a book about Flora. It's
Yeah,
actually a
I love it.
playbook.
Yeah.
So you don't read it at every whatever. You can read whichever, jump chapter to chapter when you have answers. So it's a book to really the younger people who are starting business, going into business, who want a playbook and say how does this section work? Yeah.
So not young in age, young in business.
Young in business, young in business. Some
Okay,
even
that's
old. By
good.
the way, there are some fundamental errors I'm seeing people
Uh-huh.
making at a tender
Uh-huh.
age of even 10, 20 years in business. And you see
Okay.
people losing their business at that stage. So,
So it's for
and
everyone.
yeah, it's for everyone. And I've put things that I've seen, things to watch out for, some reflection notes. It's a fun book. It's a playbook.
Oh,
It's
that's
not really,
amazing.
yeah.
Congratulations, congratulations. I'll buy it when I get back to
Thank you,
Nairobi
thank you,
and read
thank
it.
you.
I encourage everyone, please let's support Flora and also learn along the way. I'll go to the chat and Rosie, you'll help me with this because we can unmute people so that we don't just hear my voice and Flora's. The first person I see on the chat is Stephen Ajuoga. If you're able to come to the mic, maybe you can comment or ask the question that you had. Then after Stephen, we'll move to Isaac. So Rosie, you could unmute them. Yes, Stephen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laura and Phyllis. I think this is the first time I'm attending this webinar and I'm learning a lot. Mine was not a question, but just to congratulate Florence for her way of breaking the bond. I recently read about the person who was behind the renowned Big G chewing gum, and it was so interesting. Maybe you could take time to read. Quite similar with what we're doing. But my last question is, we know we have quite a number of fake products in the market. especially in the beverage space. I don't know what you're doing just to ensure that no one push you out of the market because of, for lack of a better word, using substandard materials in the name of Melvin. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Stephen. Over to you, Flora, former chair of Anti-Counterfeit Agents.
It's funny, both of us were actually sitting on the
Yeah, we
anti-counterfeit.
sat on the board together.
Yes, we do. Well, counterfeiting is a huge industry, and it's really tough not to be counterfeited. So the first thing I do is I look at it as a compliment, that if they think my business have so much value that it's worth counterfeiting, it's a compliment. But really, of course, it does affect businesses. So what we do is we report it to the agency. We try and put features that others would manage. We try and manage our supply chain. So it's just a constant battle, but it's something that is global. It's not local, and it's just a constant battle trying to fight it.
Okay, so we keep fighting the counterfeit fight. I'll move to Isaac. Isaac Maluki. Thanks, Stephen, for your question. Isaac, Rosie,
Hi.
you can unmute for me. Hi, Isaac.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi, Laura. It's been amazing listening to you. I mean, you've kept us so glued all through. You're really an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to many people. I'm actually a manufacturer, garment manufacturer at the EPZ. Although I'm logged in Ethiopia today. I just wanted to ask, there's a question I was typing when you were talking a little bit about it is, do you have another business line that you're thinking of doing, or as another option to your current business? And is it something you're thinking of permanently doing, to just start as an expansion? Or were you at that point when you're doing the side hustles just doing it because at that point in time you really needed to get a solution to maybe a financial strain or something? Oh, and before you answer, I love your slogan. I'm Kenyan and I'm resilient. It really talks to me.
Nice.
I think that's one thing you need to be in this country. Well, it's actually on the continent, because we have so many challenges, from finance to infrastructure to logistics. It's tough. It's tough to do business in this country. At the time when I was doing all these side hustles, it was just a way to survive, because my business was just not bringing in enough income. And you don't stop. I think you're always looking for opportunities to invest your money and how to grow and to move on. But right now, I have changed gears again. Well, about 2010, I did start a real estate agency, which we run with my husband, who's an architect. So it makes a little bit of sense. It has also taught me how to manage the service industry, which is another kettle of fish altogether. Managing people is not the same as managing manufacturing. I can tell you that for free. But now I've actually moved myself to my next level, which is going to be just coaching and mentoring entrepreneurs who want to grow. I take growth-sized businesses, and we have a discussion for 12 weeks, and I challenge them to grow their businesses, because we need to see more larger businesses coming off this continent. This continent has the largest number of entrepreneurs, but the smallest in revenue. So I want African entrepreneurs to actually scale their businesses. And that's what I'm teaching, and I'm loving every moment of it, because I'm an entrepreneur to the bone.
Thank you. Isaac, you can join that class. He's going to reach out.
Yes. Happily.
Yeah, he definitely can. Kezia, Maureen, Kezia Midiwa, you can unmute Rosie. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Phyllis, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. And as Flora was talking, I was asking myself here that, wow, why haven't I bought a Melvins tea, honestly? And just from what you've described, especially the ginger tea, I'm going to be looking for it tomorrow at Carrefour.
We are 100% natural.
Yeah. So how long did it take to break even? Because I think from your discussion, you mentioned that at 3 years, you had not broken even, you're almost giving up. Considering your initial investment, I don't know how much it was, and taking into account your monthly expenses and returns. Yeah, because many times we start businesses and we give up along the way when it's taking too long to break even. So that was my question.
Thank you. Please buy Melvins Tea. Yes, go ahead, Flora.
Tomorrow.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Now, remember I started telling you that I'm an accountant, so I really don't run a loss business at all. It's not in my DNA. No. So I always make sure my sales can cover. But yes, there are some businesses that you begin that I guess because I had so little to invest, it really wasn't about returning what I had invested. It was about, keeping the lights on and being able to keep my business going. But of course, today when we go, I mean, any business, when you go and take a loan, you have to take a little bit of a hit, but you try and make sure that you're taking a loan to build the revenues, to build the business. But there are some businesses that are hockey stick businesses, for example, manufacturing, because it's very capital intensive. But at the time, I didn't even start with machinery. I started with people rolling those small little packets. Thank God for me, we hadn't gone to laminates. We had paper. So they would literally take a paper, fold it, put it in a box, and then let it dry. Then when it dries, we take it to market. So fortunately for me, that's what I had found in the market. But of course, today you'd have to give yourself time. And I tell entrepreneurs, the best thing to do when you're starting a business, don't do like I did. Although by the time I started, I did out my budgets, my planning. It's just that nothing ever worked because I was always too ambitious on the top side because I had no experience. So I was saying, yeah, I think I'll turn over 10 million. I think I'll turn over 20. It was all just dreams. Yeah, so really having a reality check and people to show you what to do and trying to benchmark with what is already there. The giving up bit, I would only give up if really everybody is run out of ideas. I'm the type who, when I get into a problem, I will find a solution. Even if I'm driving to your house at 8 in the morning or in the night, I'll come. So it's really about trying to get all the help. And you guys, I keep telling entrepreneurs today, you're so fortunate. Phyllis, you'd agree with me. There's so much support today for entrepreneurs. Honestly, you have no excuse to get into what I call trading. None. You're going to China to buy earrings. That's not business. Let's move up a value chain. Make something, do something, do a skill, so make it sophisticated. And as much as I'm saying that, I want to tell people, solve a problem. And the more complex of the problem, the better you'll be able to be paid. I mean, for example, your generation, the young generation, I'm assuming that's who we have here, understand tech and are faster at tech than we are. Why are we not being virtual assistants to all these CEOs that are running around here, hiring virtual assistants who can't even use AI and the tools that we use? There are things we could do even as we are waiting to come up with a business idea and solve a problem. If it's in energy, if it's in renewables, when you look at even businesses like Facebook, how they started is not how they finished, but they started somewhere solving an issue to them, which was it was on campus. Remember, they wanted to do an intranet that you could share pictures on campus, and that's how Facebook came to life. So it doesn't mean how you start is how you end, but start, and apply your mind a little bit. Get the skills that you have to learn. You can only grow to the level of your own knowledge, and maybe when we are young, there is not much. So learn.
Excellent. We can move to Dalmas. Thank you. Thanks, Flora. Dalmas had questions. Rosie, you can unmute.
Thanks, Phyllis and Flora. I had written the questions. But let me just read again. Flora, we have a history,
Yes.
which I most sincerely appreciate from the very visionary and empowering leadership during our days at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers.
Yes.
So I had a few questions. Number one is, why Melvins and not Flora or Floras? what was the inspiration behind the name? And then second is something that I would consider your pet from your days at CAM. You know, when we talk about intra-African trade, the African Continental Free Trade Area, and all these initiatives that are meant or geared towards spurring intra-African trade, from your own experience, are they mere inflated rhetorics, or are there actually, you know, real potential for them, especially for African SMEs? What would you consider to be the SWOTs for these initiatives? Thank you.
Okay, complex problem all in one. Melvins was just a name I liked. At the time in the 90s, having a more Muzungu sounding name was aspirational. At least those were my small thoughts at the time. Of course, if I had done it in the 2000s or 2000 and something, I would have chosen a more African name. I'm not the type to call call my brand my name. That would never happen. So it's really about my personality and who I really am. So Melvins just sounded, it sounded like a nice name because I called the company Melvin Marsh International. By the way, I named the company first. Then when we did the design of the tea, they asked me, what is the name? And I quickly said, because we were doing everything in a hurry, I just said, just call it Melvins because that's the name of the company. And it stuck. And it took a long time. By the way, even till today, I meet people who tell me they don't think Melvins is actually a Kenyan brand, which is great for me because it then means we are up to a great standard. On your question on, you know, Africa Continental and all these new trade agreements that we've been having discussions on, it's not just a rhetoric. The conversations have happened. The awareness has been made. People are aware that actually Africa needs to start trading with Africa. You know how bad our trade is. I think it's something like 45%. I don't know if it has shifted. In my time, we used to say 45, whereas, no, 25. I think Asia is 45 and Europe is above. Yeah, so it's still very, very, it's still very, very poor. But I can tell you this for free. The calls are coming, the orders are coming. Then we get into the next thing because they've removed the tariff barriers. Now everybody has put up their non-tariff barriers. So for example, we sent our tea to Ghana. All of a sudden they'll tell you this packet doesn't have 100 tea bags. This one doesn't have 50 and you're not there. You're not there to defend. This was never there before. So it's a conversation, but you also know, like with trade agreements, and especially the way we are becoming more and more polarized right now, it's going to be a journey that we continue to make. But I'm very, very grateful for somebody like Uhuru and all the rallying they did at the time to make sure that it was ratified and has been put in place. So I support it 100%. It has definitely made a difference, definitely. But not to the magnitude that we want. You asking me what are the SWOTs? I'll just tell you a couple of the challenges are the infrastructure, you know, infrastructure, payments, and then, you know, these non-tariff barriers that people put. So I think we need to continue to rally around each other as Africans and show the bigger picture. And I know every time they have meetings, this is what they try to do. And I think it's a conversation that has begun and it's going to grow. When you start looking at the numbers, it's growing, albeit slowly.
Yeah, that's true. It makes a lot of sense because if you see things like AGOA lapsing, the market that you can fully rely on is the African market. So we just have to figure out how to make it work. Job, your hand has been up for a while. Rosie, you can unmute Job, then I'll come back to Hadija after that. Did you manage to unmute Job?
Yeah, good evening and happy to, yes, good evening and happy to meet you, Phyllis, again, and Flora, and congrats, Flora, for releasing your book.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One is on how did you overcome governance issues from a solo manager, the owner, to one who is employing. And you know, we survive in a country whereby we have a lot of trust deficit issues. And it's one of the reasons that companies are falling these days. How did you ensure that your brand and visibility is rising? Because I see you out there, but also ensuring that things back in the factory are happening the right way. The second one is currently we are talking about circular economy in the tea industry. And I think I'm the one who has been ignorant. I don't know where we are in terms of other sectors benefiting from your processes in terms of the circular economy. Probably you can talk of 2-3 opportunities some young entrepreneurs like us can plug into your business.
Okay. I think I've already forgotten the first question. Oh, governance.
Governance.
I think maybe starting young and starting being the youngest person in the room. I just learned to navigate I guess staff and people pretty well. I do have a partner. My brother joined me at some point and he's very operational, so he helps me on that front. But it's also learning to call a bad hire, a bad decision as early as it happens. Sometimes I sit on several boards, you know that, and sometimes I see people giving grace for so long and I'm wondering why. If it's a bad hire, it's a bad hire. But the other thing we did pretty early, although not that early, maybe 8 years into the business, is I got a board of advisors and I gave them the mandate to tell me if they felt I was not running the ship in the right way. And it's the same thing we do. We have a very open door policy and I tell my staff, if you feel I'm not managing in the right way, speak to my brother. My mother remained the chairman, but now she has stepped out. So it's really just running a very open conversation. But things will happen and you just try and nip them in, have the courage to nip them in the bud. And it's sometimes tough. It can be one of your best staff. I mean, the most interesting one, I had my supplier and my accountant colluding, and then I think they played each other. So the supplier called me to report the accountant. I was like, really? There's no better thief, you know? So and then of course internal audits and external audits and just trying to keep a finger on the pulse. Your second question was about the circular
economy and any opportunities.
Well, I don't know.
I
don't know. Well, of course, packaging. We are now starting to be pushed to more, more eco-friendly packaging. It hasn't come in yet at the prices that we need it. So it's being done by the more premium brands. There's of course organic. If you want to pack organic tea, it's of course being packed by. It's a very niche market because I think cash flow is a very, very big problem that we have in Kenya. Everybody's looking into, I guess the tree planting around factories, but that is really not our area. So I can't tell you much happening around the tea in that area.
Okay, that's fine. We'll move to Hadija. Hadija, you can come to the mic. Thank you. Isaac said he'd love to join your program, Flora, so I'll link you. You can follow up with him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Hadija, karibu.
Hi, Phyllis. Hi, Flora. Thank you so much. Thank you, both my two friends, for organizing this. And I never get tired of listening to Flora and Phyllis talk. And I think we have so much in common in terms of our likes and the passion for mentorship. And I'm so glad that Phyllis' CareerSight is moving on so well. Flora, I was just so happy about the book, and I've just offered to buy a few copies for some of our CareerSight team members already.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Lillian Osebe is one of those who wants a copy. Someone asked for the price. I'm not yet so sure, but definitely
2,800 for soft copy, 35 for hard copy.
35. Okay.
So I'll get in touch with Phyllis. I'm really passionate about mentoring, and we've done a few things together. So happy to even support CareerSight on this. And Flora, we are two tea addicts. I'm just a tea addict. If I don't have my tea, I'm not happy. So please keep that business as the primary.
It will be. And today my visit to Naivas, where the guy was stepping out and bringing in other people who carry it forward, was very eye-opening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yeah.
So any young people on the chat, please just mention your name there. Rosie will pick the names and we'll get you copies of the book. Thanks a lot, Hadija. We really appreciate. I'll move to Wendy. You can unmute Wendy, Rosie. And then Faith Daisy, be on standby. The name of the book is Brewed to Last. We'll put it on the chat so you guys can see it also. Over
Phyllis,
to you, Wendy.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, please send. Then we can put it on the chat for you. Send to
Okay.
Rosie.
Okay.
Because I'm on the computer.
Okay.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, Wendy.
I've been learning a lot from this. Thank you so much for taking your time. Mine is just to nudge the Melvins Tea company to bring in kombucha. I don't know how the manufacturing for it, I don't know how hard it is, but if you guys can, introduce it into your product category, it would be nice.
Okay.
Because the ones that are currently in the market, they're a bit expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But thank you so much. The insights are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. I love kombucha. So, Flora, there you have a new product. Kazi kwako. Tell us when you're doing it.
I will.
Thanks a lot. Elizabeth Wasuna, your hand is up. Please go ahead. Elizabeth is our friend too. Please go ahead.
Rosie, I've sent it to you, the link.
Okay, thanks. Rosie, you can drop the link for the book.
Great. Good evening, Phyllis. Good evening, Flora. I couldn't miss out on an opportunity to have this conversation and to join in. Even though you were trying to age us out, the older ones, we are here. We are here to listen as well. We were not being left behind. I think for me, it was important also to join the call because I brought in two ladies, Sylvia and Leah from our team, young ladies who are looking at aspiring to grow and to learn from the likes of the two of you on your journey. So my question to yourselves is, even as we keep on saying, and this is a question to Flora, we keep on saying we want to learn. There must be things that we must unlearn for us to be able to move forward. And perhaps from your experience, what some of the things, maybe one or two things that you've had to unlearn to allow you to pivot to the next level?
I think the first one was this thing of that you'll work for somebody, that somebody will be above you and will tell you what to do. Here, you literally have to tell yourself what to do. And so where do you get that level of knowledge? So you have to let go of how we were brought up. You find a lot of resistance as well when you start saying you want to get into business as a young person. People always ask you, are you sure? Why? I mean, I remember when I went to Nakumatt to get my first order, my God, I was like, it wasn't Nakumatt, it was Uchumi. That's how old we are. And I remember I was lectured for 40 minutes and I left there without an order. And then eventually, the following morning, they called me and they said, they don't even want the black tea, they want the flavored tea. So I think that's the first one, is just letting go of this notion that you have to do it, you can do it by yourself. I mean, somebody else has to tell you what to do. You've got to realize it is me. I think what else have I had to unlearn? You have to forgive yourself. My goodness. Being your own entrepreneur, it's not, when you make a mistake, there's no hiding from the boss. It's you and you're living with yourself, and you just go home and say, wow, okay, I really goofed on that one, because it could be an expensive mistake. It could have cost you money. So you really have to learn to forgive yourself. That's something I always tell people. And the other one was failure. Failure is not, in fact, for me, I say failure is they call it breakfast for champions. When you fail something, you take a product to market and it collapses. Don't waste your time saying, oh my gosh, I've spent so much money. Fortunately, now we have design thinking. So before I take a product to market, like she's mentioned, kombucha, it's very easy for me to, to make a mix, quickly take it to market, test before I actually go and do a commercial run. So also, teaching yourself new ways of doing things, keeping up is also so important. God loves me because when I started Melvins, I remember my friend worked in KTN and she would come and say, advertising before news, 2 million, 1 million. I used to look at her and think, what does she think the turnover is,
Yes.
And then two things happened. One, they started selling spots. So they'd spend, the spots that people don't buy. So they'll tell you, will you appear between? So I was the champion of that. And then came social media. So all of a sudden, you don't have to have this big budgets to actually go to market. Yeah, so you've really got to be quick at picking up trends, picking up what's going on, because they can work to your advantage or not. Of course, there's some who work to your disadvantage. So just realizing, oh my goodness. So me, when social media, I ran fast, and now you would actually see that, brands are really dividing what they do. So a lot of learning, a lot of forgiveness, and then knowledge, seeking knowledge. You've got to learn that calling you Elizabeth and saying, can you help me in this, is not a sign of weakness. It's actually, I say it's a sign of strength. It's a sign of knowing that I don't know, but because it's not my field. I come to my field. In fact, when I meet people and they say, I say, no, you come to my field, I'll show you anything you need to know. But this is your field and I need to understand it right now because I have a problem I need to solve. So those are a couple of the ones that I'm thinking.
Thanks a lot. And Elizabeth, thanks for bringing Sylvia and Leah. Hopefully they can keep engaging and we'll give more information about our NDA event and other things. I'll move to the next person, Shelley. Shelley, you can come make a comment, and then we have Mark Njoroge. So Shelley and Mark, and I think that's the last question I'm seeing, and then Frida. Shelley, Mark, then Frida. And then we will wrap up.
Phyllis, I think you can start with Mark.
Okay, yeah, go ahead with Mark then. Thank you. You can unmute Mark.
Evening.
Evening, Mark.
Yeah, I'd like to go over a few questions I've sent in the chat. Basically, it's more on whether you've been introducing any entrepreneurs to the process, to production, to management, how well the ones you've introduced, they're taking it up. When you look at the entrepreneurial landscape, would you say manufacturing is picking up? Is it a bit more stagnant? The generation, are there more entrepreneurs picking up? Say, for example, in agro-processing, more on the same. We have so much of a digital conversation going around, matters of automation. Some may be on the factory floor. I think earlier there was a bit of automation on the farms, but a bit of uproar. So recently there's been more on the factory floor, matters of the packaging, a bit on the marketing side, the automation elements. How well have you picked it up? Then I think an even heavier question is on group dynamics. So we have different formal and informal associations managing market access. So have you had any serious challenges in that respect? How are you able to tackle the same? And the last is on soft launching. How do you perform the soft launch before commercial runs?
Wow, those are many. I'll answer the ones I remember, and then I wasn't writing down, and then you can remind me if I've forgotten any. So when you're asking about production, you're asking, are we picking up production or am I seeing it in the market?
production, introducing entrepreneurs to the production process. Like there are many, currently there is much information online. There are many who may have inquired about the production process, so it goes, the distribution, there is much unknowns, so to say. So it's more on the experience you've had with that introduction, with those introductions, people to that production process, and yeah, just gauging the sentiment around it.
Okay, I think what I'm getting is our movement from picking up automation, automation in all the sectors. Change is always difficult. So even when we were moving from the manual packets I was telling you we were making, we brought in our fast machine. You'll tend to find people not wanting to adopt, but it's more usually out of fear. So change management, being very firm, train as much as you can, and make sure that you carry them along. But anybody who has worked with me now long enough knows that I'm always looking for the next best thing. So, even when we moved, moving into digital, moving into anything that we do, like for now, currently, we just had a consultant that left us from Europe where he's completely redone the way we do our production. So we were doing like line manufacturing, and he's like, nope, we actually now do, you touch the product, you pack it, it goes into a box and it's out. Of course, we've picked up a lot on AI, inventory management. So it's a lot. Is it picking up? Yes, it is. And especially when you start seeing what the cost savings are, labor is becoming, our labor is not, I wouldn't say labor is expensive, but labor is becoming difficult to manage because the labor costs are also very, very pro-employee. So you really have to be very careful. So a lot of us are just trying to pick up as much, and also drive efficiencies, really. In fact, I would say that is the number one motivation. In the farms, is it happening? Yes, a lot of tea factories have moved, of course, to actually pick tea with the machines. Of course, you'll see the uproar in the press, but efficiencies and cost reign. And also, we're in the 21st century. You're not really, really going to avoid it. I hope I've answered your question, and I don't know if there's any other that I left out.
Soft launching of products, offer a guide on how you can soft launch before full commercial runs.
Well, what I do, like I mentioned, is more design thinking. So I will do a product and then put it into market, choose one store, put it there, put it on shelf, see how it behaves. Is it leaking? What are the customers saying about it? But even before we do that, we do a proof of 30, then we go to 150, and then we take it to market. I do believe in a lot of soft launches. If you look at Melvins, we don't really go out and have launches. A, maybe habit, B, budgets. So what we do is we spend a little more time in pushing the distribution and making sure that it appears everywhere. But that too has been helped by just this whole digitization. I mean, I keep telling even entrepreneurs today, your customer is on your screen, is on your phone. Today, you don't need an intermediary to get to people. In our days, that's what it was, and there were so many gatekeepers. Today, they're not. As long as you put yourself, the other mistake I find entrepreneurs doing is you run businesses, but you're invisible. Oh, I don't do social media. Oh, I don't want to whatever. Oh, haven't put my brand up. How are people going to know we have 55 million Kenyans? How are they going to know that you exist? When you're given an opportunity to go on a platform, no, I don't do public speaking. That can help your brand. That can help you get out and speak your truth, whether it's a service or a product. So there are a lot of opportunities that we miss by keeping our brands invisible, and that doesn't help anybody.
Love that. Frida, we'll take Frida and then Sylvia, then we're done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Phyllis. Thank you so much, Flora. We've really had a great conversation and insights right here. And mine is really not a question, but to congratulate Flora for launching the book. And the fact that she's been operating in such a challenging environment and come out victorious is something to tell us that really resilience and hard work is clearly the way to go. and there is really no shortcut for it. I've been employed almost all my life, but this is also a challenge to think about being an entrepreneur. And yeah, I will be student 001. Thank you so much for the good insights.
Thanks a lot,
Frida. Frida, start being an entrepreneur in your organization. Like I said, start testing that muscle. Come up with an idea, push it in your organization, see how it goes. When you start seeing the revenue coming in, then you'll have the muscle to say, you know what, when I retire or when I leave, I'll be able to do this for myself.
Sure.
They call it entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And there's some very, very, very strong entrepreneurs I see in organizations.
Yeah. That's lovely. Okay, we have Kenya. Okay, Sylvia first, Sylvia Ongira, and then Kenya. Sylvia.
Thanks, Flora, and thanks, Phyllis, for organizing this, and also thank you to Elizabeth for inviting me. And I think mine was a comment to just say I feel very inspired. I love the conversation. I think I'd love to be part of more conversations like this, and I actually feel challenged. I felt during the whole conversation, I felt challenged and attacked in a good way, because she said getting good from China is not a business. Like, you need to apply your mind, and I love that. And you need to solve a problem. So I feel challenged, greatly challenged, and thank you so much, Flora, for this conversation.
All right.
Kenya, over to you.
Hi, Phyllis, and thank you also for this conversation. It's been a long time for me to be part of a conversation like this. I'm very excited. Phyllis knows me from way back. We have done some work together. I am currently a farmer, but working towards starting a processing plant. And my question was, okay, so we're on the starting stages, and it's slightly overwhelming. We need to be working on outgrowers kind of program, because we depend on raw materials. We will depend on raw materials from some farmers around us. And at the same time, we have this processing plant that we're trying to put together. Do we pick one, start working on the outgrowers program first? They work together. How would that work best?
Explain to me what you want the outgrower. The outgrowers would be supplying you.
Supply their raw material.
The raw material. So we are working on a fruit processing plant, and we make oil. So so we grow right now. What we're making is very small scale, because we have the fruit ourselves. We make sesame oil, so we have the sesame ourselves. But now to scale up, we need more farmers growing the same, and growing the food in a way that we want, because we are doing it organically. So it requires some interaction with them, and then also securing the fruits, securing that they don't sell them to others, and that stuff. So there's that, and then there's also figuring out the machinery and putting all that together. We have small machines, but we're trying to scale it up.
All right. My question to you, so what do you have? You have some machines, you have some seed.
Some raw material.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, let me just make some assumptions. For me, I always say moving down the value chain or up the value chain will take your time and your energy. What you have is where you focus. So for me, if you have a plant and you already have seed, I would perhaps now get a team to continue picking from everybody else, all the growers around the area, before you go and start doing an outgrowing program. Because if you could have the money, but that's a little bit of a long term. And the other way to do it is as you secure your product for the day, then you're able to then take some time and go back and do the back end. Around having machinery, today I find contract packing is it's a thing. It's done, it's accepted. In my time, it was not. You take, the first time I shared my idea with somebody, they ran to market way before me in our days. But today I'm finding it's there. So as you're even considering getting upgrading your machine, you can look for somebody to contract pack. Because for me, the battle is on the shelf. You start a business to go to market. I try to go to market as fast as I can. So you want to start selling as quickly as you can. So if you have a little bit of a process already going on, get your staff to pick up as much seeds from everybody else. Develop the outgrowing as a step 2 if you have the time. And then now as you're bringing in as you're bringing in your machinery and setting it all up, because all that takes time. I keep saying the battle is in the wall, is in front of your customer. So for me, what would take me there fastest is where I would concentrate and then work backwards as my time and my resources allow. Let me give you a case in point. Melvins is going to be 30 in November this year. We keep saying we are going to do outgrowing of, hibiscus and whatever, and partnerships and whatever. Till today, the best we are doing now is MOUs with people, because I've just realized it's another kettle of fish. They'll start telling you, fund my farm, give me the crop. Oh, it didn't grow. And you see, yeah, and you are there banking on it. So for me, I keep saying secure, fight the market. That's where the battle is. That's where you earn your money. And then now come and work the back end. So in order of priority, that's how I would do it. I hope I've answered your question, my dear. And congratulations. It sounds like a lovely business. And you can join my class when you're ready.
Yeah, and her sesame oil is amazing. I've bought it. So Kenya, please drop details on how people can get it. It's really, really good. The oil that she does. So thanks. Please get some and try it. It's quite good. I think I'll stop there for now. Thanks everyone for the questions, for joining, for all the insights. But more than anything, Flora, we really, really want to thank you for sharing your story, telling us about your book, about your business. And I'm sure we'll keep the conversation going. We have our end of year event, and all the guests who spoke during the year will be invited and you'll speak there. So I'll give more details. Grace, the CEO of CareerSight, will speak about it shortly. But yeah, we welcome everyone who's on the call to kindly plan to join us, and please buy Flora's book. For the young people, reach out to us. We will pick up on Hadija's offer to buy us books. And for everyone else, we look forward to seeing you on December the 6th. I'll hand over to Grace, the CEO of CareerSight. But Flora, we really appreciate you. May God bless you and continue to expand your territory, grow your business, continue to give you the resilience, the good ideas, and the energy and mentorship and friendship that you have. God bless you.
Thank you. And thank you very much for the opportunity, to speak. I love sharing. And for the young that are here, it's not as bad as it looks. Just take one step and the next will fall, and the next will follow. It becomes automatic, and it's a muscle. Anything is a muscle. Risk is a muscle. The loan I took then is just several times bigger than the one I'm taking today. So everything is a muscle, and it goes getting bigger as you're building it. So don't fear to BYOB, be your own boss. Don't fear it.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Grace. Thanks so much, Flora.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Flora, for being part of the webinar today, and really grateful for the wonderful insights, and especially for the young people. As you've told us, it's not as bad as we think it is, and just for the encouragement. So I'd like to give us details for our end of year career dialogues dinner, which we hold annually. This dinner is going to be on the 6th of December, 2025. We shall be having it at Gemsuits, which is in Riverside, where we usually host our dinner. And this year, we're going to have all the webinar speakers who we've had through the year, together with other amazing speakers. So this is a chance we get to bring all our speakers in one room and
have all of you there and we can have these discussions at length. Our ticket goes for 3,500. We will put Rosie can put the pay bill details. However, in the coming week, we're going to have tickets going for 3,000 just for the week, the early bird. However, the regular tickets go for 3,500. For those who are passionate about mentorship, we usually have also some students and young people joining us. And if you'd like to sponsor a table for the students, our table goes for 100,000. And if you'd like to be an event sponsor, that goes for 150,000. And you can also sponsor your colleagues from your organization to join us. I'm sure it's going to be lovely. So make sure to keep an eye for the payment details and don't miss out. The slots are limited just because we try to keep the conversations, we try to keep the room nice and neat and small so that we can all be able to interact with each other. So I'm hoping to see all of you there. And Flora, thank you once again. And thank you, Phyllis. And thank you to all of you. And I wish all of you a wonderful evening. Oh, thanks a lot, Grace. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you at the dinner. Any sponsors, let us know if you're able to sponsor a table, the event, the organization. We welcome you all. But thanks a lot, Flora. Thanks everyone who's joined. We really appreciate. Kinya has dropped the link for her sesame oil. Please feel free to reach out to her. And if you need to reach out to Flora for her training, let us know also. We can connect you with her. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely evening. God bless you. And we look forward to seeing you later in the year. Bye.